When one season ends, the next one starts the very next day. Games may not be played for another 5 months or so, but the necessary adjustments from one campaign to the next begin almost immediately. Sometimes those modifications are subtle, sometimes they are drastic. Either way, the changes are made with the pointed intention of winning a championship as soon as possible. This is that story. This is the Flyers flight plan. As the Flyers slowly skated through a handshake line with the New York Rangers after a bitter Game 7 loss, they were left thinking about what could have been. In a nip-and-tuck series, one shot, one shift, one save could have altered the eventual outcome. But as fate would have it, it did not, leaving the Flyers to go home for the summer much earlier than expected. However, despite it not ending in victory, the 2013-14 season was a memorable one for the Flyers. It included a horrible start that led to a coaching change. It saw a furious resurgence to make the playoffs. It saw the continued growth of talents like Jake Voracek and Wayne Simmons. It saw the beginnings of a coaching tenure of a smart, no-frills coach in Craig Berube. It saw the determination of Captain Claude Giroux as he rebounded from a slow start to post a season worthy of his nomination as a finalist for the Hart Trophy as league MVP. And it saw the emergence, especially in the playoffs, of a rock-solid #1 goalie in Steve Mason. Nevertheless, the loss to the Rangers meant an early start to the offseason, and with the Flyers having just 17 players under contract for the 2014-15 season, it also meant there was work to be done. But before the first contract was signed or the first trade proposal was made, the Flyers felt a reorganization at the top of the food chain was in order.
Hi guys, I think everybody knows why we're here, and Paul started talking to me in January about his idea of bringing Ron into the position of general manager, and he and I talked for a long time, and Paul, I wanted him to take the vacancy, which he agreed to, of presidency of the team, so he's the president of the Flyers. As of now, he'll be working more on the business side than he has in the past, as well as giving us a lot of depth in the hockey end, and therefore we're really excited today, and I'm going to turn it over to Paul.
Late November, early December, I started talking to Ron about, I guess it comes from the idea of some other teams and other sports, and a little bit now in hockey with other teams, but just a way to strengthen the whole management team and as an organization. And, you know, having Ron back in place, he came back last summer, was something that really pushed it along for me and got me to the point where I felt comfortable about going to Mr. Snyder with the idea. Back in January was the first time I approached him about my idea of and what I believe to be a stronger management team with a way of, I guess, moving up for myself in more of a management position as opposed to being general manager of the hockey team, sliding Ron into the general manager position. I can work closely with Dave Scott and with Sean Tilger, Gary Rostick, as well as Mr. Snyder, and try to help and improve where we're going while still being around to help Ron and whatever he may need in the transition. So I just think it's perfect. And what I'm really excited about today, and I think privileged to be able to name Ron Hextall the new general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers. So Ron.
Ron, on his own, wanted to come back here, and interesting because, you know, he was part of the team that brought the Stanley Cup to Los Angeles for the first time. So the fact that he wanted to be a Flyer, even though they won the Cup in LA and even though he enjoyed his life out there, meant an awful lot to me and to our entire organization. And he had no knowledge whatsoever that he would become our GM, although obviously everybody felt that he was next in line. But, you know, Paul's not old. It could be 5 years from now, and Ron would have been happy. He's an incredible young executive, and we're lucky to have him.